It is Talking Reds. We are in association with NordVPN. I am John Gibbons. This is Neil Atkinson, and this is Beth Lindop. Is this your first Talking Reds live with us?
It is, yeah, really exciting.
I'm excited. There's stuff to get stuck into. There's not necessarily, for Liverpool first team games. Normally on this show, we are looking ahead to a European night or a Carabao Cup game or something like that. But at the moment, it is just internationals. But the players have been doing bits, and I do want to sort of big them up. But I mean, I've got to start with Andy Robertson first of all, because Beth, he scores the goal that you dream of when you're a kid. It's like, do you know what I mean? It's like, right, it's the last minute. I'm playing for my country, and they love their country. Fair play to them. Up in Scotland, they've got a flower and everything, and then he rises. I would say like a salmon. I don't know if you would agree.
Yeah, no, it's like a Scottish salmon. Yeah.
Like a Scottish salmon, which is the best kind.
Yeah.
It's dear in Tesco. He rises like a Scottish salmon.
Taste the difference, salmon.
Exactly. Yeah, exactly. He goes Sainsbury's for it. It's a wonderful header. He goes berserk. They go berserk. I'm not entirely sure what it means. I think it means they're not relegated to something. They don't fall through a trapdoor at the end of the game and have to play somebody, But, I mean, they look made up, and fair play to them, and it's some header.
It was. It sort of had shades of, like, the back post header at Villa a couple of years ago, and the celebration was quite similar, wasn't it? And you could just tell it was just pure joy for him, wasn't it? And he's had a tricky couple of months. Obviously, his pre-season was disrupted with injury, and then there's sort of been a lot of debate about him and his long-term future. And, I really like what you said. He came out after the, what was Liverpool's most recent game? The last game that Liverpool played last week.
Aston Villa.
Aston Villa, yeah. He came out after that game. He played well, came out and said sort of people have been writing me off, but, I'm very much sort of want to prove the doubters wrong. And, if he can start chipping in with some goals for Liverpool, then that'll be no bad thing either.
Yeah, I mean, it is some finish. He's got defenders all around him. He needs to get up there and get up there. It's a brilliant header. I haven't seen the away end, but I'm sure
it cut to the away end.
Did it?
I watched it live. I sort of switched on about 5 minutes before Doak went off. I saw people were talking about it, and something I was watching just finished, and I thought, I'll whack that on and see what's happening. It was a good game. Poland. I saw Poland equalise, and it's a great equaliser for them, and they then seem to take a bit of a backward step, Poland, which I was quite surprised by. I don't quite, again, understanding the full context and the connotations and all of the ramifications is slightly difficult. But there's also just a lot to be said for just simply winning a game of footy. You know what I mean? And I don't think whatever the final thing it has or hasn't done for Scotland is, I don't think that's gone through Andy Robertson's head when he A, headed it, and B, run off celebrating. He just wants to go and find his mates. Yeah. And that's to your point about, it is in loads of ways. It is like your dream goal. The only way it could be better, really, like it's in a really weird way, it's better than a mazy run and finish at that point in the game. After 70 minutes, you want the mazy run and finish. At that moment, you want that idea, the sheer force of it as he gets up there, and it's on an air and header. It clips the inside of the post, which means it goes. The goalkeeper has got the cliched no chance, and it is. He is captain, and I think he's had a bit of a mixed relationship with being captain from the bits and pieces I see in dispatches. And I think that there is always a little bit of a problem when, for any national team really, if your captain / best player is also simultaneously a defender, and there's a bit of a gulf. They're a funny side, really. They brought Christie off the bench, which I was intrigued by, because I think Christie's great. Yeah, but they started Doak, and they brought him on for Doak. But they are that sort of patchwork international team in a way. There's a good centre-back. There's Andy Robertson at left-back. John McGinn's the business. McTominay's bouncing around the place. Doak looks like he could be really good for them. But elsewhere, it is a little bit like a few of these lads at Championship. So you end up in this situation where I think everyone wants Robertson to be brilliant all the time, but he is ultimately still a left-back. He's a left-back who could do bits for you at left mid, and he's done that in front of Tierney, or left wing-back and Tierney. But he's a left back, so you don't get many of them. Unfortunately, he can't. He's not a centre. The best player is not Haaland, where Haaland's already scored an unbelievable number of goals for Norway. So I think it means so much to him, John, because he's got one. He's got that one where he's captained them. The World Cup, what was it? Was it the Euros? The Euros didn't go great for them, and I think he wasn't quite physically right throughout it as well. And I think he sort of brought that with him a little bit into this season, if I'm honest. So I think all in, I think it just looked like a brilliant celebration, a huge relief, and he'll want to feel like he's really played his part as captain when he looks back on his Scotland career. And he's a great example of it, because it means that they don't have to do something, but they might have to do something else. That's what it means.
Well, it's one of those where it's. They'll remember a big moment, and Neil talked before when he was told before about how if it's a Maisie goal, you know what I mean. I was thinking if it was at Hampden, it'd be a bigger moment because the roof would come off and things like that. But it's actually harder to do it away from home, even though it would have been more fun to do it in front of your crowd. It's actually harder to do it away. But they'll sort of remember that, and then next time when they're in a qualifier that we understand, they'll sort of have those moments, and then maybe if they can qualify, for the next international tournament or whatever it is, that then maybe they will, fare a little bit better. It's moments like that can sort of spur on a team.
Yeah, definitely. And I think Andy Robertson said after the game, actually, that was where he made his Scotland debut, I think. So he said it meant a lot to him being able to do it there as well. But yeah, I think I completely agree with Neil's point about it is very difficult for Andy Robertson because people saw the performances he was putting in for Liverpool week in, week out under Jurgen Klopp, and then Scotland would play, and it was very much, there was so much criticism of him and an expectation that he would, as captain, lead by example and lead them on to bigger and better things. But, he was playing within a team that have flashes of brilliance and have, little pockets within the team where they look really good. But then also there are a number of players that maybe aren't quite at that level, certainly not at Robertson's level. So I think you could just see how much it meant for him. Hopefully that'll give his confidence a boost as well after a tricky sort of couple of months, and after the Euros obviously not going as well as he would have hoped. So yeah, delighted for him, and I'm sure there were a few celebrations last night after that one.
Yeah, do let us know in the comments if you're watching live. I'd love to know your opinion on Andy Robertson this season, how you see him going forward, whether you think this will be maybe a springboard for some bigger Liverpool performances from him, or whether you feel like, all these games actually for him and how much he puts in for Scotland is maybe, having an adverse effect on his sort of Liverpool performances. Do let us know. And also on the next person, we're going to talk about Conor Bradley, so do let us know in the comments on either Robertson or Bradley, and maybe would you start Bradley at the weekend, looking in terms of, Trent, we don't know too much about his availability, and then maybe, keep him in the team against Real Madrid, sort of how you'd feel about that. And moving forward, there's some big games coming up, but how confident are you in Conor Bradley, or would you be looking to rush Trent back as soon as possible? But I mean, he gets a goal, Conor Bradley. I thought he won 2-0. I've been informed by the Ulster Army upstairs that they actually ended up drawing 2-2. We'd look to big after being 2-0 up with 10 minutes to go, but it's fine. A draw was all they needed.
A draw was what they needed, I was going to say. So yeah,
they got for what they came for in a roundabout way.
In a way that's deeply unsettling for all parties.
Bradley's done a little bit of captaincy himself. The lads again upstairs said he's been passing it around, but they reckon he'll get it for the qualifiers. It's a really young team. They look like they're having fun. Bradley was afterwards said I was nice to come top of the group with me mates, basically, and that's how he feels where he is playing. They feel like they've got a bit of freedom. They feel like they're enjoying it, and they're building for something. And him being the centre of it, I think is quite nice for him, and maybe good news for Liverpool.
I think it's great news for Liverpool. I think responsibility, there's such a responsibility on playing for Liverpool. If you're playing for a team that's trying to win every major honour in the game, I don't care really where you are in that squad. When you're on the pitch, I've always liked the idea that Liverpool are a team of captains, and because they need to be. At some point responsibility is going to come onto you, and you've got to be able to deal with it. And Liverpool aren't that far away from that. I mean, let's be clear about this. Alexis McAllister is not going to captain Argentina anytime soon, while Leo Messi is still jogging about the place, and he wouldn't want to. But he feels like a senior leader in his national team, and you can sort of go through the others. That onus up front has now been placed onto Nunez. We've talked about Gakpo, and now Bradley, even though he's not starting for Liverpool, is quite clearly in that team with his mates. He is the best player.
Yeah.
And it's not just the idea of whether or not he's got the armband, therefore he's got the responsibility of, I'm the best player, so I've got to be part of making things happen for us if we're going to be able to achieve whatever our ambitions are at this level. And I think having that, being in that position and having that, I think is no bad thing. There's controversy at the minute over Konate with the captaincy, with France as well, which I think is quite interesting. But you sort of go through Liverpool's starting 11 and you're just able to see, ironically, well, maybe not ironically, but with the possible exception of, for instance, Gravenberch, any plausible 11 Liverpool pick at the minute feels like players who would either have responsibility or have been desperate for it. And Gravenberch's in the category of, I think, wanting it as well. And, the way Jones talks at every opportunity, he wants to be responsible. And I think that bodes so well. Liverpool, even when they've got young players or younger players than some of the rivals, they never come over like a team of kids. And even Bradley now, he's a pretty senior, 21. He's got the full season under his belt at Bolton, and you're talking about the Northern Ireland thing. So I think it's great, and I think we need to. It's not going anywhere, international football. I think this has been an international break which has dragged the most, and I think from an England point of view, it seemed like a profound and deep waste of time because of the dropouts and the new manager. But you can decide, there isn't another one now until March, and then there isn't another one then until you get to the summer, but it isn't going anywhere. So do you want it to be good and useful for the Liverpool players or not? Well, the best way it can be good or useful for the Liverpool players is that it helps them grow and mature as footballers, and I think that we've had another international break here where if no one comes back with an injury, and if the players who've got to fly halfway across the world come back in pretty good nick, with the game being Sunday, it feels like one that has been another positive for Liverpool in this season of positives.
Yeah, it's a really good point. I'll come back to Neil in a minute with hopefully some comments on either Bradley or Robertson. I'll let him have a little look through. But just to come to you first, Beth, I think Neil's point's an excellent one about trying to see it as how are these players benefiting, and for Bradley and for Liverpool, I think he has benefited a lot. But in particular, this next one, we don't know how long Trent's going to be out for. We don't have an update yet. The manager will do his press conference on Friday. We'll be doing the team talk straight after from here. These very seats, perhaps you'll be getting sort of team talk from. We'll do a press conference extra from that as well. So we'll be doing our reaction. But right now we don't know Trent's availability. I'd be surprised if he's around for Sunday, but you never know. And then maybe you've got decisions made on these big games, but. I don't worry about Bradley anyway, to be honest with you. I think he's proved his temperament, but in terms of match fitness, playing a couple of games for Northern Ireland, sort of no bad thing, especially in competitive games that sort of mattered. Being the captain as well. I'm pleased he's got these minutes, going into a period where it looks like for at least one game and maybe more we're going to need him. Yeah,
there's some players when it comes to an international break that from a club perspective you think they could really do with a rest, and they could do without playing an awful lot, and Bradley isn't in that bracket, like you say. I think it does him good and does Liverpool good that he's going out and he's getting competitive minutes and playing well and contributing as well. I think the nice thing is, I think for a long while at Liverpool it's felt like it was sort of Trent or bust. If Trent didn't play, Gomez could fill in there, but you didn't feel like, you felt like you were very much losing something if Trent wasn't in the team, and that is still the same. Trent is a unique footballer, but in terms of a right back, Conor Bradley is one of the best young right backs around, and I think certainly I wouldn't have any qualms about him playing, even against Real Madrid, Manchester City. I think in an ideal world Trent's available, and Liverpool can then, in Arne Slot, can choose who he wants to play there. But I think now Conor Bradley's got enough credit in the bank that you would sort of feel okay with him playing there. I think actually one thing I really like about Bradley, and we've seen it in flashes even this season when he's come off the bench, is I think he's got a good relationship with Mo. I think Mo quite likes having someone who's willing to overlap and run on the outside of him, and I think Trent has done less of that over the last couple of years. He's obviously been inverting a little bit more and coming more central, and I think actually Mo, I'm not saying he prefers playing with Bradley, but I think it suits him and it suits his game to have someone who's bombing up the wing beside him.
He knows what he's going to do in a funny sort of way, and he can sort of go both ways, Bradley, but I think I think he can spot it, and I think that sort of helps him.
Yeah, really. And considering they've not played together a great deal, really, I think they do have a good connection, and it's obviously it's one of the great unknowns at the minute, isn't it? With Trent Alexander-Arnold and his future, there's obviously sort of divided opinions of if indeed it emerges that he is going to leave next summer. Does Bradley then get more of a chance to play? I don't know where I stand on that. I think Arne Slot will continue to pick his best team until the end of the season, and the best Liverpool team will inevitably feature Trent Alexander-Arnold, whatever he decides. But Bradley, got absolutely no issues with him playing if Trent isn't available. I think I'd be surprised if Trent plays on Sunday. I think very much he and the manager will have one eye on Madrid and City, and therefore wouldn't be surprised to see Bradley given a go against Southampton.
Any comments from the
watching
people?
Kuda at the top says that Robbo clinched my ACCA. which I think explains Andy Robertson's celebration. but also, I just think that we need to be really careful with the word acca. I think it's remarkably south of England, and accumulator is a perfectly acceptable word. So I just think if we can just keep our eye on that in the comments, I think we'll be better for it. Jordan Wilkes says
Jonathan's lad.
Well, excellent. Neil, Beth and John, big love from Australia. We love the Reds down under. Were any of you at the MCG back in 2013?
Were we ever?
Me and you were.
Yeah.
I'm trying to work out how old Beth was.
Let's not press that.
No, it's really depressing. Frankly, me and you were. We had a lovely time.
Yeah, it was brilliant. It was a spine-tingling You'll Never Walk Alone. The game was just all right, but it did have a Steven Gerrard winner, and what else are you in life for?
Yeah, indeed. We were in the active zone, actually, Jordan.
And we were active.
And we were active in the active zone. And we were drinking the wine as well, because the beer had like a weird thing where it was getting managed for percentage, and frankly, the beer was shite. Sorry about that, mate, but the wine was gorgeous.
One of the strange things, seemingly in Australian sports, certainly was in 2013, where the sell mid-strength beer, which is like 2 and 8%, so you don't get too drunk. But wine, you can just fucking go sick. Because I think they think, oh, they won't drink that, whereas me and Neil did.
Yeah. They'll worry about the masculinity of the whole thing, as someone actually pointed out to us in the queue while we were drinking it. We were saying, lad, you're drinking 2.5% beer there.
Yeah, you want to get on this stuff.
Yeah, you want to have a think about it.
We stopped worrying about our masculinity a long time
ago. No, that's long gone. Anu Gupta says, he's no longer peak Robbo, but rumours of Robbo's demise have been greatly exaggerated. Adam Malvin has done the homework and says Scotland now do not go straight down to Group B, but they have to play a qualifier against the second place Group B team to stay in Group A. And there's other ramifications as well that could involve the World Cup qualifications. Bradley chat in there, what do we do? And someone saying AT says, which I just refuse to believe you were christened, says there is no sense in rushing Trent back given he has hasn't seen himself on the ball as late. His quality when present is unmatched. It's been missed the past few weeks. David Chalmers, Judith lads came to Glasgow. I loved the live show. And it was nice to meet us. Yeah, it was good indeed. And some questions on the Kirkes links. Listen, we're doing Gutter tomorrow, so there's going to be a lot of Kirkes chat on that one. I think in general, with Trent on the ball, John, I think there's just been a little bit of a fine line for me trying to work out whether or not he's following managerial instructions, or whether or not he's just simply finding it a little bit tricky, or whether or not there's an injury factor, or there's been an injury factor in those last couple of games, because there was some of his distribution that was driving me a bit mad, but then he plays the ball through for Nunez for the goal against Arsenal, which is, it's a great ball. It genuinely is. It's the sort of ball that not many players would A, try, and then B, execute with such perfect pace as Trent does. So I think he's always going to be an asset whenever he's available, but I think we want him. I think if, for instance, in a really basic way, when we play City, there's going to be no room for passengers. We need everyone to be absolutely as close to the best as they can be. So I think, if it was me, I'd have my eye on, all right, what do we need to do to get him absolutely tip-top for City? And maybe that is half an hour against Madrid, nothing against Southampton, half an hour against Madrid, and then he's good to do an hour 70 against Man City.
Yeah, I think that's probable, but we'll wait and see. Like I say, we'll hear from Arne Slot on Friday, and the Anfield Wrap, we do a reaction to that press conference afterwards on our audio and video subscription service. Okay, just a quick break before we talk about Konate and Virgil van Dijk. I just want to give a huge shout out to NordVPN for partnering with us for this run of Talking Reds until the end of the year. Now, a lot of people came on to me after last week talking about using my NordVPN to watch the Liverpool Leverkusen game in Universal Studios. A surprising number of people who were doing Orlando this time of year. Would recommend it. It's warm. Warmer than we got snow outside today in Liverpool. Snow, would you believe it? That's what we've got. My kids were very excited, me sort of less so, but yeah, it is. As I say, I used it. I would recommend the NBC bar in Universal to watch football. But if, like me, you get there and they're not showing the Liverpool game, then having that backup is fantastic. So nordvpn.com/TAW. You get loads of extras. There's 4 months extra on top of your subscription. You can use it on up to 10 devices. So if someone's bought one along with you, like what happened with me, and they've got sort of a slightly better screen, you can get it downloaded on there as well. And you can, by switching your virtual location with a click of a button, access maybe some streaming sites or maybe some subscriptions that you already pay for in this country when you are abroad. So there we are. Some massive games coming up, and wherever you're travelling in the world, you certainly won't want to miss them. So if you're not able to get to somewhere to watch it, do make sure you download NordVPN from nordvpn.com/TAW, and there is that 30-day money back guarantee for you as well. Okay, this is the segment of the show I like to call Get to Know Beth.
Is that a new segment? Is it?
It's brand new. Yeah, it doesn't make sense otherwise if you're not here.
It's confusing when it's Josh Sexton.
Just like shit, it's a quiz. Lindop. Beth, you got a new job?
I have, yeah. So I am the new Liverpool correspondent at ESPN.
Round of applause, people.
Yeah, really, really exciting. Obviously doing a lot of Liverpool stuff. I'm also sort of doing a little bit of Everton stuff as well. But yeah, just really, really exciting time to be covering the club, So even, Everton obviously in a very different boat to Liverpool in terms of their ambitions and things for the start of the season and the end of the season. But a lot going on there, and then obviously Liverpool going great guns under Arne Slot. So hopefully it continues, and I'm not sort of a jinx and they start losing as soon as I start properly reporting on them. But
made up at Southampton away next, aren't you?
I'm actually not going on Sunday.
But you can get one under your belt with a bit of luck. Hopefully. So yeah, but yeah, really, really excited, and fingers crossed. There's lots of nice things to write about over the next few months.
Is there an office? Will you ever go? Is there a Christmas party? Have you been invited?
Office, yes. I'm actually going tomorrow, so I'm going down to sort of meet all my colleagues properly down in London. Snow permitting, fingers crossed the snow stops and the trains run.
You still be a
Christmas
nightmare.
Party, I'm not actually sure about that. That's maybe something I will ask tomorrow.
Bring it up tomorrow.
I am.
Yeah.
As soon as you walk in.
Just get the real business on the table. I am actually going to the Echo's Christmas party though.
That's nice.
They did have a little debate actually, because
in front of you.
Yeah. They said do we invite her to, because we were having like a little meal and going out for drinks. They were like, does she qualify to come for the meal as well? And I was like, I mean, considering I've worked for, 10 months of the year, I feel like that is the criteria to get onto the meal. So
don't say that the one you go to ESPN, because they might say not the long.
You play the opposite.
If someone's clipped this, you're in real bother.
Just focus on what you bring. Focus on the energy.
Yeah, but very busy. I'm glad to sort of be in place now, because a very, very busy patch of the season coming up. So yeah, hopefully we'll be kept very busy and have lots of nice things to write about.
Well, we're lucky to have you, Beth.
Thank you.
But most importantly, are you continuing with 5 things you've learned?
Well, yeah, I will be. I will. Yeah. I will still be around, still learning.
So much more to learn.
There's so much. There's always 5 things to learn. So,
exactly 5. It's really fortunate.
So,
never 4 or 6, thankfully.
Yeah. So yeah, no, I will still be around on here. And yeah, if anyone has got anything that they would particularly like to learn or would like me or ESPN to look into, give us a follow on Twitter and drop me a message, and yeah, all the nice things. Don't drop me like a abusive message. If you're going to do that, just don't. But
yeah,
drop
me a nice message. Yeah.
Send it to another.
There's loveliness here. Anu Gupta says that you've been a great addition to the Anfield Wrap lineup, which is definitely true.
Full agree.
Very much agree. Huge agreement. I'm excited. I'm also excited for the reasons that Beth's excited. She's got a great moment.
Yeah.
Say what you want. She's got some big games on the horizon.
Yeah.
The last ever derby at Goodison. She's got the huge game against Manchester City, which will be huge no matter what happens at Southampton, because we'll wonderfully still be 2 points clear even if the worst happens. And then from there as well, she gets to watch Liverpool right the massive wrong of last season at the London Stadium, not the Tottenham Hotspur Stadium.
Yeah.
That's on the horizon as well. We've
just
sort
before
of
Christmas
that
as well.
away, and that's just before
I
Christmas.
thought you would just remember when it Goodison.
Right
in the wrongs.
No, but that would be a
There's
huge.
a few wrongs to right, isn't there?
There's a lot of wrongs to right.
Oh, the narrative.
I'd argue the 1-1 against City last season with the last minute should have been a pen is a wrong to right as well. Real Madrid are just a walking wrong to right. That's the theme. Yeah. We just need Newcastle not to get wind. Because God, have they got a list.
I know.
But when we go up there, we don't want them to know that that's the theme. If we can just keep the theme to ourselves, we're being good. And if there's even, if you want to go all the way into the Christmas period, there's the 2-2 draw against West Ham last season. We need to fix that one as well.
Yeah.
Hopefully Mo Salah's watching this and he's just got a big book out. You know what actually occurred to me? I was just talking to Cy Hughes about his book, which by the way people should get hold of. Mo Salah's never had a big moment at Goodison Park.
Okay, yeah. No, I can't think of one.
He had the one in the 4. Did he?
He scores in the 4-1, but Henderson opens the score and Jota scores the 4.
It's Jota's game.
So he runs through and scores to make it 3-1 when we're under a bit of pressure. I think that's the 3-1 goal.
It did produce a great picture of him though. Someone had thrown a red flare onto the pitch and it was quite atmospheric. But I know he's not been a match winner, has he?
It felt like the goals are Henderson's and Jota's, aren't they? I know what you mean. Well,
I want to know. I think we've got to get a message to him. Genuinely, I feel like if Mo realises this before kick-off, I think we're going to be flying.
He had that game, didn't he, in 2018-19 when Liverpool missed out and it was 0-0 at Goodison, and he must have had about 5 1v1s with Jordan Pickford or something like that, and Pickford just smothered every single one. So
it was one of those moments where he never quite had everything under control.
Yeah.
I remember when he does score in 21-22, it feels like a bit of a weight off because he's gone through one-on-one and just nets it, and it's great and it's perfect. But I feel as though we need like a Mo Salah defining performance at Goodison Park.
Someone at the Echo, I can't remember who, let's say Gorsty, has worked out that Salah might be captain on Sunday against Southampton. Because
if Trent and Virgil aren't involved.
Yeah, and then obviously Robbo would maybe be ahead. Alisson's definitely not. So you're next in line. That'd be nice for him, wouldn't it?
I'm all in favour of it.
Yeah.
It actually occurred to me before that he might end up as vice captain if the contracts go a certain way.
Yeah.
Which would be quite interesting.
Yeah. I feel like this has been a soft part 2 start.
I
do want to talk about the books, actually. Let's do that before we talk about Virgil and Konate, because it's a time of the year that people buy books. Yours is very much available from online bookstores and sort of stuff like that. But you've been talking to other people about their books as well. Miguel Delaney, Just Then Cy Hughes, and you enjoyed both of them, I know, because you told me upstairs where there's no cameras.
Yeah, but there's no cameras. I said I did very much enjoy both of them. There's a lot. Miguel's is heavy. You know, there's lots of pages in Miguel's, but he's covering basically what is the slight dilapidation of football over a 30-year period. It's really important in Miguel's book, actually, I think, to not just focus on what the subtitle. When I interviewed him, he talked about the fact that he almost feels like we're well beyond even what the term sports washing does or doesn't do now, and he's talking about much sort of grander themes into which this problem has sort of filled a vacuum that was created by other people just not taking the responsibilities seriously enough, and I think it's great. I really did enjoy it, but also I just think it's really insightful, and I think it tells you about football now. Having just done the interview with Cy on his Chasing Salah book, you know, I think it's quite brave the way in which he's done it. He's not tried to speak to Salah all the way through. He's talked to other people around it, and I think that actually works really well, because part of what Salah is anyway is something that is a bit enigmatic. So he's sort of trying to solve the enigma without going straight to the source. And also there's possibly an element of, but what would he get? You just get an enigmatic Salah interview, which would be great. I mean, she'd have a nice time.
Yeah,
hung out with Mo Salah.
There's worse ways to
let's have a coffee with Mo Salah, which is what the whole Liverpool team want to do seemingly. But no, I think within there he's got really good insight into the context with which Salah keeps forming himself into. So both of those are really good. Other books are available at this time of year, and people do like to buy them as gifts. And I think they're excellent gifts, to be honest with you. And you know, all the way through the year, I try to talk to authors, people who've done interesting stuff. And you know, there's historically lots of people I've spoken to as well. So if you want to check all that out, and maybe I'll do a list on whatever social media platform you do the lists on these days. Because Christ Almighty, it's confusing.
There is a lot. Okay, we're going to go quite quickly on the.
Could do an email. I should do an email.
Yeah, do an email. Yeah, we'll go quite quickly on the last two, because the two people either side of me are off to do press box on LFC TV. So if you subscribe to LFC TV, what a gift you've got for Christmas there, an early present. You've got both Neil and Beth Lindop on press box this week. So they're gonna run off, literally run out the side door, pile through the snow and get to Chapel Street. So, but very quickly, I do want to talk about first of all, we'll do Virgil van Dijk with you, Beth. A few more comments have come out from Ronnie the Red, which suggests that there's maybe a little bit more of a problem than what we thought. I think everyone just thought that Koeman was being sound because he famously is with regards to the Liverpool Football Club. Mm-hmm. But then he said he has been managing something, he's missed training, and it's maybe just a little bit of a reminder that, you know, we do need to be careful with him. We do need to sort of watch his games. I think he'll probably play against Southampton, but I think, you know, if we can give him a rest at some point, it'd be no bad thing.
Yeah, I mean, as far as I'm aware, it's not sort of a case of he's carrying a serious injury or anything like that. He's obviously going to be assessed this week, and will be interesting obviously to see if he's involved on Sunday. But I think, like you say, it's maybe a little bit more of a reminder that Virgil isn't a superhuman who can play every single game, and I think he's played something like 1,350 minutes or something along those lines already this season, which is more than he played at this point. So
you're doing on the bike this week.
All in one go, which is more than he played at this stage last season. So it's such a difficult one because obviously last season Liverpool had the luxury, if you can call it that, of being in the Europa League and therefore being able to rest a number of key players, including Van Dijk in midweek, which, you know, we've got Real Madrid coming up this week. They're not going to be able to do. If Liverpool do the business there, then, you know, there's potentially a chance that the rest of the Champions League games they might be able to rotate a bit more. But yeah, the games are coming thick and fast, so maybe it is one for Arne Slot to have a little think about in terms of if there's times he can manage his minutes a bit more. I think the emergence of Konate, not just as a fantastic player, but as a real leader within for both club and country, which we'll get onto. But I think that it's no bad thing for Liverpool because it means, you know, if Virgil does have to have a rest every now and then you've got someone like Konate who can marshal the back line. But yeah, I don't think it's anything serious. I think it is just more a case of the Netherlands have already qualified for the quarterfinals of the Nations League. I believe that is what they've qualified for, I think, potentially. So yeah, it is a little bit of a dead rubber for them against Bosnia, but yeah, I think it's more a case of just managing his minutes and not taking any unnecessary risks with him.
You have been conscious of this for a while, though. You've been flagging this like Liverpool's ages 3 years ago of the squad. You've been sort of ahead of the game, just with regards to, because the problem is with Virgil, you always probably want to play in the next game, and you're like, oh, give him a rest in a week and a half or something like that. But I mean, that actually works out all right in this instance, maybe. But I think, you know, we do need. You'd hate to have a month without him, and so
and not the next month.
Yeah. Exactly.
So I think that they've got to be really careful around the Southampton game and work out what it is to do. And I think Gomez has shown that he's more than capable of coming in and doing a really good job at centre back. And, you know, Quanta deserves opportunities as well, and they're hopefully on the horizon. I think Liverpool can be. I think it's worth saying in the most dramatic way, Liverpool won at Newcastle last season without Virgil van Dijk. So I think if Liverpool do want to think about managing him just a teeny little bit to ensure that they get the very best out of him, I don't think that that's the end of the world. I just think it needs to be a proactive process that everyone is bought into. The last thing you need is other members of the squad going, why hasn't Virgil started if we struggle a little bit? And the last thing you need is Virgil himself going, I don't quite understand this. So I think whatever it is they choose to do, it's a collaborative decision. I think that's the most important thing. So if he's not available for Southampton, I think that, you know, that's fine. I think in an not ironic again, I've used that word incorrectly, in an interesting way, I think there'd be something where if he was not 100% for Southampton but everyone felt that this league game is massive for setting the tone, I think it would be interesting to have this idea of, in terms of his self-management, maybe he doesn't play the big one against Madrid. Almost like as an example for the rest of the squad. We haven't all got to play every game, boys. We've got to look after ourselves. We're in this together. We've got to play the games that really matter. Games to come. The bigger game to come is the one against City. And then the idea, maybe again, you just sort of say, listen, until we feel as though whatever this is spot on. Maybe he doesn't do Newcastle, he does do Everton, and then you get to the game against Girona, where I think if Liverpool have got any positive results against Madrid, I think they'll feel there's room to make a few changes 100%. For the Girona game. Then there's Fulham, and then just to sort of keep extending this, then you've got Southampton in the League Cup, where we very much don't expect them to play. So I think that this little journey, I think it's easy to imagine, genuinely I think it's easy to imagine, as long as everyone's bought in, everyone who matters is bought in, the leadership group, the manager, the coaching staff and the player himself, to imagine a month where maybe Virgil just gets looked after a teeny little bit, because the games I think we're going to tend to really need him for, I think, are the games that are at the weekends, and maybe Southampton away is one where we can do without him in order to get him right. And
just quickly, Konate captain, you teased a bit of drama around it.
Yeah, Mbappe and Konate, supposedly, like there's this feeling that Mbappe suits the idea of what it is that the French want a little bit better out of a captain there area of the pitch. I think it's hard to have a forward as a captain. I think it's difficult in a couple of ways. You just sort of out of the action, and also you've got to worry about yourself just that little bit more. I've always long sort of thought, I think it's a little you know, and that's not doing anyone down, it really isn't, but there's just a little bit of controversy over who will or won't captain the French going into the next period of time. And it's quite the turnaround for Konate. He doesn't feature in the tournament in the summer, so
doesn't have a minute.
So they're talking about him now as a captain. I think that shows. Firstly, I think it shows his personality, and I think whenever you get to see Konate's personality, like I think we're all wowed by it and knocked over by it. You know, he's got jokes, but he's got seriousness. There's a real sort of, I think that like he's larger than life, which is some achievement given how large he is. He's large enough to start with. So I just wonder whether or not there's a feeling he might just be of more use in that sense, but obviously there is a long-standing trait of your best player being a captain. But I think if you're Zinedine Zidane, you're probably able to point at, I think Laurent Blanc was captain and Zidane wasn't when France won the World Cup in '98, and Deschamps was playing himself in centre mid in that team. But in international tournaments, it's often either the player who's got the most caps or the one who everyone acknowledges is the best one. Who tends to get the armband. I don't know, but Konate is back in. He's getting picked regularly for his country. I don't think that's something to be scared of. I understand why people will always worry about Konate and his body, but again, I think we've got to acknowledge that international football exists, and if it's existing, we need to be a positive for our players. And we could say we'd be happier if Konate didn't play, but Konate would say, well, I'm not. And you've got to start from there.
And we all want to see what outfits he turns up in to international football next. Okay, we will leave it there. The guys do need to run off, but huge thanks to Sam for pulling this all together. We are back live this week. It's been fun. Thanks for your comments. Sorry we couldn't use more of them, but do join us again and do get stuck in next week. Obviously, thanks to Neil and to Beth. Be nice to Beth online. Be nice to all women online. Hey, especially
all people online. Actually.
Well, I was going to say especially ones who've just had a baby. That is going to have a baby. That is a nice thing to do. But yeah, be nice to them.
Pregnant?
No, Sam Kerr. Did you miss it?
No.
You glad?
Oh, am I? Yeah, okay.
Yeah. People are audible. But don't use the sound.
Sorry, Beth.
That's okay.
Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption. Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption. Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN on the planet and explore the internet without interruption. Bring your digital life to a whole new level with NordVPN. Choose the fastest VPN.